Imagine waking up one morning, stumbling to your kitchen for coffee, and finding that a forgotten penny, just sitting in your drawer, could be worth nearly $1 million. Sound impossible? Too good to be true? Think again that in the world of rare coins, miracles don't come wrapped in gold. Sometimes, they come copper-plated, worn, and seemingly ordinary. That's exactly the case with the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin that, on the surface, looks like pocket change, but today, collectors are quietly paying up to $981,000 for it. Now, before you race to grab every penny from under your car seat, listen closely. Because not all 1981 pennies are created equal. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to tell if you're holding a financial time bomb, or just another coin you'll use to buy chewing gum. Here's where it gets interesting. In 1981, the US Mint was phasing out the use of solid copper pennies. That year marked the final stretch before a major transition to zinc-based coinage. But in that process, amid countless presses and mass production, something happened. Anomalies, minting errors, and most importantly, coins without a mint mark that shouldn't exist in their current condition. So why does a missing mint mark matter? Because it tells a story. A coin without a mint mark usually means it was struck in Philadelphia. But in 1981, something strange occurred. Certain no-mint mark coins surfaced with sharper details, unique finishes, and irregular compositions. Some struck on leftover copper planchets from previous years. Others, printed with rare die combinations. To the untrained eye, these differences are invisible. But to experts, they're red flags, or in this case, green lights leading to six-figure payouts. Let's zoom in. Imagine holding a coin in your hand. Same color, same weight, same honest Lincoln stare. But under magnification, a hidden world opens up. The tail of the 9 might be slightly elongated. The rim might look doubled. The texture different. And suddenly, you're no longer holding a penny. You're holding a piece of monetary history. One verified 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, featuring a rare double die obverse and solid copper composition, was recently evaluated and auctioned off for a staggering $981,000. You heard that right. Not a typo. A single cent, worth nearly $1 million. Still think your change jar is junk? Now, I get it. You're probably thinking, but how do I know my 1981 penny is the one? That's where knowledge becomes your weapon. First, check the weight. Most post 1982 pennies are zinc-based and weigh around 2.5 grams. But the earlier copper-based ones? 3.11 grams. A subtle difference, but a critical one. Next, inspect the lettering. Is there doubling on Liberty? Is Lincoln's eye oddly shaped? These signs could mean you've hit the jackpot. Funny, isn't it? We spend years working, saving, budgeting, and all the while, one lucky coin might be sitting quietly in your laundry basket. But there's a twist. As coin values soar and the world of numismatics gains mainstream momentum, more and more people are waking up to this hidden fortune. That means the window to sell at peak value may be closing fast. The market is saturated with fakes, and as more coins surface, demand may dip. If you've got the real thing, timing is everything. So here's the million-dollar question. What if your penny is worth more than your car, or your mortgage, or even your retirement fund? Are you going to let it collect dust? Now's not the time for hesitation. While most people walk past pennies on the ground, you'll never look at loose change the same way again. In fact, after this video, I dare you to go on, dig through that coffee tin, that forgotten piggy bank, your childhood coin folder. Because here's the kicker. Some of the rarest 1981 no-mint mark pennies weren't found by collectors or experts. They were found by regular people. Grandmothers, truck drivers, even a middle school janitor who casually tossed his coin into a drawer, only to discover years later it was worth nearly $1 million. Still think it couldn't be you? Look, wealth doesn't always arrive through the front door. Sometimes it sneaks in through the cracks of your couch cushions. And right now, you're just one coin away from rewriting your financial future. But before we reveal the final key to identifying the ultra-rare 1981 no-mint mark penny, the one so exclusive only a handful are known to exist, ask yourself this. Are you prepared to walk away or lean in and change your life? Because in 30 seconds, I'm going to show you the precise markers, the visual traits, and the hidden detail that sets a $981,000 penny apart from the rest. And when you see it, you'll never see a penny the same way again. Have you ever unknowingly held $1 million in the palm of your hand? Maybe you've already spent it on gum, a coffee, or something as forgettable as a parking meter. It might sound impossible, but one unassuming coin, shiny copper, dated 1980, and lacking a mint mark, has shaken the foundations of coin collectors and casual sellers alike. Today, one of these Lincoln pennies sold for a jaw-dropping $980,000. And there could be one sitting quietly in your change jar right now. You're probably wondering, what's so special about a 1980 Lincoln penny with no mint mark? After all, it's just 1 cent, right? But here's the secret. Some coins aren't just money. They're hidden keys to wealth, artifacts of history, and sometimes extremely rare misprints that collectors will pay nearly anything for. The 1980 no mint mark penny is one such treasure, and its story is as rich as its value. It all starts with an oversight, or perhaps a twist of fate. The Philadelphia Mint, responsible for minting billions of coins each year, traditionally leaves coins unmarked. No little P on the face, no trace of origin, just Lincoln's stern gaze and the date 1980. But within that sea of copper, a handful of these coins turned out different. Not in appearance at first glance. No dramatic design flaw.
No cartoonish misprint.
But something deeper, more valuable, rarity, minting anomalies, and historical context that few noticed at the time. Imagine a printing error on a Picasso. Wouldn't that suddenly make it priceless? In the coin world, that's exactly how these mistakes work. A die error, a metal mix-up, or a striking flaw can catapult a coin from pocket change to luxury auction status. The 1980 no mint mark penny, in pristine condition with sharp definition and full detail, has been found with near-perfect die striking and doubled features. These anomalies, often microscopic, are exactly what drive value. And when rarity meets demand, that's where the market explodes. One such penny, verified and graded as MS-67 red, stunned the market with a final sale price of $980,000 at a private auction. The buyer? A reclusive collector with a passion for American coinage and deep enough pockets to turn a cent into a six-figure spectacle. But he wasn't the only one bidding. The demand was fierce. People knew exactly what was at stake. A piece of American history, hidden in plain sight. Let's pause for a moment. What if you have one? Have you checked your drawer? That dusty old jar on top of the fridge? Your childhood coin album in the attic? It sounds dramatic, but it's true. People every month are discovering high-value coins among their everyday change. And it's not about luck. It's about knowing what to look for and taking the time to look. Right now, there are coin dealers scanning eBay listings, estate sales, and old family collections, hoping to spot one of these ultra-rare specimens before someone else does. Time, as they say, is money. But in this case, time is also copper. And copper could be gold. Still not convinced? Let's talk numbers. Over 7 billion Lincoln cents were produced in 1980, but only a fraction of them remain in gem condition. Fewer still contain die anomalies or uncirculated surfaces untouched by human hands. When a certified coin grading service like PCGS or NGC examines these pennies, they use microscopes to detect the fine doubling on the lettering or the crisp, bold strike around Lincoln's coat lapel. Those features, imperceptible to the untrained eye, can turn your penny into a collector's obsession. The more pristine the coin, the rarer it becomes, and rarity drives price. But here's the catch, and this is where fear kicks in. These coins are disappearing. Every year, thousands of 1980 pennies are cashed in, melted down, or tossed aside as worthless. Estate auctions lump them into bulk copper sales. Banks send them to be recycled. And with each passing day, the number of potentially valuable pieces shrinks. That's what makes this moment so urgent. You don't just want to look, you need to, before your $1 million opportunity becomes someone else's recycled metal. You might be thinking, how would I even know if mine is valuable? That's a fair question. And no, you don't need to be a numismatist to find out. There are simple steps. Start with a magnifying glass. Check for signs of doubling on the date or lettering. especially on the word liberty. Look at the coin's luster. Does it shine like new? Any unusual thickness? Off-center strikes? And most importantly, has it been handled, or has it remained untouched for decades? If you're even slightly unsure, send it to a reputable grading service. It's an investment that could pay you back 1,000-fold. Still feel like this doesn't apply to you? Think about this. A woman in Ohio found a rare Lincoln penny while helping her father clean out his toolbox. That penny sold for over $120,000. She used the money to retire early and take her first ever trip to Europe. She didn't think she had anything of value either until she looked. Now, here's the part that might just keep you up tonight, that there's a rumor, unconfirmed but growing, that an even rarer version of the 1980 no-mint mark penny exists. A proof strike, possibly released by mistake, with mirror-like surfaces and a double die reverse. If it surfaces, experts predict it could break the $1 million threshold. And if it's out there, it's almost certainly sitting in someone's private collection, without them even knowing it. Could it be you? This isn't just about coins. It's about seizing the chance to turn overlooked, everyday objects into extraordinary wealth. It's about transforming forgotten things into financial freedom. And it's about acting now, before the world catches on, before the market shifts, before that penny you could have sold for nearly $1 million ends up in someone else's pocket. So, here's what you do next. Pull out your old coins. Search through the ones you dismissed. Check every 1980 Lincoln penny, especially those without a mint mark. And if you find one in exceptional condition, don't hesitate. Have it graded, get it verified, and don't let skepticism steal your chance at wealth. Because in the end, the difference between a penny and a fortune might just be what you're willing to look for. And if you think this was rare, wait until you hear what's happening with a 1971 Lincoln cent that just crossed the seven-figure line. But that's a story for another day. Have you ever walked past a penny on the sidewalk, thinking it's worthless, only to later discover that one nearly identical to it sold for $979,000? Sounds like a stretch, doesn't it? And yet, tucked inside old jars, stuck behind couch cushions, and buried in forgotten drawers across America, there may be a 1979 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, just waiting to change someone's life forever. Yes, we're talking about a coin you may already own. One that millions of people overlook every single day. One that looks almost identical to billions of others, and yet, in rare cases, has sold for nearly $1 million at auction. Still think pennies are useless? In today's video, we're diving into one of the most unexpected, electrifying opportunities hiding in plain sight. If you're between the ages of 30 and 65, and you've ever dreamt of flipping old coins into serious wealth without needing a Wall Street broker or a tech startup, you're about to discover something extraordinary. Because this isn't just about copper and zinc. This is about legacy, about catching lightning in a bottle, about turning your family's old coin jar into a story you'll tell for generations. So, why this penny? Why 1979? It was a year when disco was dying, gas prices were rising, and the US Mint was quietly producing 1-cent coins that, at first glance, seemed totally ordinary. But buried within that year's production run were a few mistakes, subtle anomalies that even most collectors miss. The most important of them all? The 1979 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Now, let's clear this up. Most coins produced in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark. So what makes these different? It's not just the absence of a letter. It's the presence of perfection, or rather, imperfections that only experts notice. Flaws in the die, double strikes, unusual luster, misalignments. These rare, almost imperceptible features are what send coin values through the roof. Picture this. A man in Ohio stumbles upon a dull-looking penny in his father's military footlocker. It's from 1979. No mint mark. At first, he tosses it into a coffee can with 100 others. A week later, he's sitting across from an appraiser. 10 minutes after that, he's told the coin could fetch over $950,000 at auction. He thinks it's a joke. It's not. This story, and dozens like it, are the reason collectors and wealth seekers alike are combing through their change with new urgency. Because when a coin reaches nearly $1 million in market value, it's not just a collectible. It's a financial asset, a golden ticket, a retirement plan in your palm. And here's the kicker, these valuable 1979 no-mint mark pennies don't look rare. Not at all. They're hiding in broad daylight. They could be lying quietly in a shoebox in your attic, or rattling around inside your glove compartment right now, so how do you know if you have the right one? Look closely at the coin's condition. The most valuable specimens are in pristine, uncirculated condition. Sharp details on Lincoln's profile, clear strike lines, and no visible scratches or wear. Then there's the weight. Some of the rarest versions weigh slightly more or less than expected due to anomalies in the planchet, the metal disc used to create the coin. Still with me? Because now we're entering the realm of error coins, the holy grail for serious collectors. Some 1979 no-mint mark pennies were double-die obverse. That means the front of the coin was struck twice, slightly offset. It gives a shadow-like doubling effect on the lettering or Lincoln's face. Catching this with the naked eye can be tricky, but under a magnifying glass, can be crystal clear. And the value? Astronomical. Auction houses have reported these error coins hitting final bids upwards of $979,000, especially when certified by trusted graders like PCGS or NGC. Still think you don't need to check your change. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. A surge in interest is creating a kind of mini gold rush in the coin world. Investors, collectors, and everyday Americans are suddenly looking into their past, at childhood piggy banks, inherited coin books, even vending machine change trays. And competition is rising. Fast. Which means that if you do happen to have one of these rare 1979 pennies, the clock is ticking. Because once more of them surface, scarcity goes down, and so does value. Imagine the heartbreak of holding a coin worth nearly $1 million, but waiting too long to a CTSO. What should you do if you think you've found one? First, don't clean it. Ever. Even wiping a rare coin can reduce its value by thousands. Second, store it safely. Use a soft cloth or case. Keep it away from moisture, dirt, and your curious cousin with sticky fingers. Third, get it professionally appraised. Reach out to a certified numismatist or send it to a grading service. Yes, it costs a little, but would you risk walking blind into a potential fortune? And finally, research recent sales. Compare your coin to verified auction results. Some websites list exact specs, and you can learn from both successes and near misses. Because in this game, knowledge isn't just power, it's profit. You might be wondering, why haven't I heard of this before? Why isn't this all over the news? Simple. The people who win in the coin world don't always broadcast it. They move quietly, sell discreetly, invest strategically. It's the kind of wealth play that whispers, not shouts. But you're not like everyone else. You're paying attention. You've stayed with me this long. Which means part of you suspects there's more in your pocket than just spare change. Maybe there's a legacy there. Maybe a breakthrough. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a 1979 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, so rare, so pristine, and so historically significant that it could net you a fortune. Now, before you rush off to check your coin stash, let me leave you with this. Every millionaire collector, every record-breaking seller, every once-in-a-lifetime story of sudden coin fortune, all started with the same thing. A moment of curiosity. They say fortune favors the bold, but sometimes it simply favors the observant. Imagine waking up tomorrow, walking over to the kitchen counter, and spotting a dusty old penny buried beneath a pile of receipts. You glance at it, just a regular coin, right? But what if I told you that very penny, a 1978 Lincoln 1-cent piece with a tiny D mint mark, could be worth up to $978,000 today? Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million for a single coin you might already own and not even know it. You see, most people dismiss pennies. They fall between the couch cushions, end up in old jars, or vanish at the bottom of glove compartments. But here's the truth no one told you. Not all pennies are created equal. Some hold secrets, flaws, anomalies, historical quirks that transform them into treasures. The 1978 D Lincoln penny is one of those secrets. Minted in Denver, the 1978 D was never supposed to be extraordinary. Over 4.2 billion were struck that year. Common, mundane, at least on the surface. But deep within that mountain of copper-plated zinc lies a rare subpopulation. Coins with minting errors so scarce and so dramatic, collectors have paid hundreds of thousands, and in one reported private auction, close to $1 million. Now here's where it gets fascinating, and just a little terrifying. The owners of these coins, they didn't know they were rich. One man sold his coin in a garage sale for 25 cents. Another tossed his into a vending machine. These weren't stories from a century ago. They happened in recent years. Because unless you know what to look for, these valuable variations are virtually invisible to the untrained eye. What makes the $1 million version so rare? It's all in the detail. Start with the doubling. Some 1978 D pennies exhibit what numismatists call a double die obverse, a minting error where Lincoln's profile or the lettering shows a clear doubling effect under magnification. It's as if the engraving shivered while being struck. But these aren't just errors, they're masterpieces of rarity. Combine that with a sharp strike, pristine condition, and a full red luster, you're now entering elite collector territory. But let's not stop there. A few 1978 D specimens were struck on the wrong metal planchet, meaning a 1-cent coin was mistakenly printed on a dime blank. The result? A penny that weighs less, rings differently, and can fetch astronomical sums. One of these error coins, authenticated by a top grading service, was privately sold for $978,000, and that's just the beginning. The coin world is buzzing with renewed energy. Wealthy collectors, investment hedge funds, even celebrities are pouring millions into rare coin portfolios. Why? Because unlike stocks or crypto, a rare coin is tangible. You can hold it, protect it, pass it down. And in the case of the 1978 D penny, you can accidentally stumble upon it in a box of forgotten change. Now, maybe you're wondering, how do I know if my penny is the one? That's where things get exciting and urgent. First, grab a magnifying glass. Look for strong, clear doubling in the words, "In God we trust," "Liberty," or the date itself. Then inspect the mint mark, the little D under the year. If it looks misplaced, rotated, or oddly shaped, you might be onto something. Finally, weigh the coin. A standard 1978 D penny should weigh around 3.11 grams. If it's significantly lighter or heavier, do not dismiss it. Next step, get it graded. Reputable services like PCGS or NGC can certify your coin, give it a grade, and even encapsulate it for protection. Coins graded MS67 or higher are where the serious money starts, especially if there's a known error involved. Here's the twist most people miss. Once a coin hits the grading floor, it becomes part of numismatic history. Its value doesn't just reflect its metal. It reflects status, rarity, and desire. And those things, they only grow with time. So why aren't more people hunting for these? Simple. Most think treasure only lies in shipwrecks or buried chests. They don't realize it could be quietly waiting inside an old shoebox in their attic. But now you know better. Imagine this. You're holding that penny in your hand. You feel its weight. You see the shimmer. Your heart races. You send it off for grading. Days pass. Then the email comes in. Grade MS67 plus with a double die error. Estimated market value $978,000. Now ask yourself, what would you do with that money? Pay off your mortgage? Travel the world? Retire early and never look back? Or would you reinvest and keep hunting? That's the magic of rare coins. The thrill isn't just in the payout, it's in the pursuit. The hidden wealth, the what-ifs, the moments that change lives. So check your jars. Open that drawer. Go through every old penny you've ever tossed aside. Because somewhere out there, waiting silently, is a 1978 D Lincoln penny that could make you a millionaire. And wouldn't it be ironic if your fortune had been in your pocket all along? Keep watching, because in the next video we're going even deeper into a coin so rare only 3 are known to exist. And one recently sold for over $2 million. Have you ever held a penny in your hand, not knowing that it could be worth nearly $1 million? Now imagine this. You're clearing out an old drawer, maybe a jar of loose change tucked away in the garage. You pick up a dirty old copper coin. It looks ordinary, rusted edges, faded detail. But something about it catches your eye. The date reads 1976. There's a little D under the year. Just another penny, right? Wrong. That exact coin, yes, the 1976 D Lincoln penny, could be worth up to $976,000 today. Nearly $1 million for a coin you may have walked past 100 times. Crazy? Not really. You see, rare coins like this one aren't just collector's items anymore. They're silent keys to wealth hidden in plain sight. And as the market for numismatics explodes, more Americans, especially people like you between 30 and 65, are discovering that the road to financial transformation might just start with the change in your pocket. But what makes this unassuming penny so valuable? And how can you tell if the one you have is the real treasure? Let me tell you a story that most people don't know. In 1976, America was celebrating its bicentennial. Flags waved. Fireworks filled the sky. The country was looking back at 200 years of freedom, and in the middle of that historic moment, the Denver Mint quietly struck billions of Lincoln pennies. Billions. But a few, just a handful, came out differently. A tiny error. A rare metal blend. A die that was slightly misaligned. Or maybe a double strike. Whatever it was, something microscopic, almost invisible, transformed these few coins into millionaire-making treasures. Most people never noticed. They spent them, traded them, lost them under car seats. But those who did notice, they held on. And decades later, collectors are willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for them. One pristine example was recently valued at $976,000 due to its remarkable die clash and double die features. Details you can't spot with the naked eye, but scream value to a trained collector. Now here's where it gets interesting. You might think, well, I don't have a coin expert's eye. I'll never know the difference. But what if I told you you don't need to be an expert? All you need is awareness and the willingness to look just a little closer. Pull out your old change. Look for that 1976 D mint mark just below the date. Is Lincoln's image unusually sharp? Do the letters in Liberty, or In God We Trust, appear slightly doubled or misaligned? Does the coin have an unusual shine or an off-metal color that just feels off? These clues might seem small, but they're exactly what experts use to uncover million-dollar coins. And if you're thinking this sounds like a fantasy, here's a dose of reality. In the past year alone, more than 17 coins minted in the 1970s have sold for over $100,000 each. That's not a fluke. It's a trend. The appetite for rare coins among elite collectors is growing, and that demand is pushing prices higher than ever before. Now let me ask you, why are you still sitting on your old coins? Most people keep them in coffee cans, drawers, jars, forgotten, unloved. But each one of those coins is like a scratch ticket you just haven't checked yet. That penny you left in your glove box 5 years ago? That might be the one. And here's the real kicker. Every day you wait, the market shifts. New collectors enter. Rare coins disappear into private collections, never to be seen again. The clock is ticking. The opportunity is now. Still not convinced? A retired firefighter from Michigan found a rare penny in a jar he nearly tossed out while downsizing. It was a 1976 D Lincoln penny with a striking off-center mint error. He had no idea what it was worth. After a quick evaluation, it sold at auction for over $430,000. He used the money to pay off his mortgage, buy a boat, and still had enough left over to start a trust fund for his grandchildren. Now you might be asking yourself, what if I missed this? Or worse, what if I already spent one and didn't even know it? That's the fear that fuels urgency. And you're not alone. Thousands of Americans are now rechecking their old stashes, racing to find their own hidden fortune before it's too late. And here's a little-known secret. Even if your 1976 D penny isn't the ultra-rare variety, many still hold elevated value today due to condition and collector demand. Coins graded MS67 and above, essentially near-perfect condition, have fetched tens of thousands even without mint errors. That's the power of quality and timing. So how do you get started? First, take action. Stop assuming it's just junk. Gather your old coins. Every penny, especially from the 1970s. Check dates. Look for mint marks, particularly the small D under 1976. Use a magnifying glass. Take photos. Compare online. There are communities, coin grading services, and dealers that can guide you. Second, don't clean them. Don't alter them. That innocent scrubbing could knock $900,000 off your payday. I'm not joking. And third, this is the most important, don't wait. That penny sitting in your drawer won't knock on your door and say, "Hey, I'm worth a fortune." You have to make the first move. Because if you don't, someone else will. Wealth isn't always about big investments or high salaries. Sometimes it's about recognizing the opportunity that others overlook. A single cent that turns into a legacy. One penny, one choice, your future could change forever. So I'll leave you with this. What if, after this video ends, you go check your change jar and you find it? The 1976 D Lincoln penny that just looks different. And what if that coin, forgotten for decades, turns out to be worth nearly $1 million? Wouldn't that be the greatest plot twist in your life story? We're not talking about luck. We're talking about awareness, about paying attention to what others ignore. And right now, someone out there is watching this, walking toward a drawer, opening it, and finding something that will change everything. Will that person be you? Or will you look back one day and wish you hadn't waited? Your answer is probably sitting less than 20 feet away. What if I told you that sitting inside your junk drawer, in that old coffee can or piggy bank you haven't looked inside in years, could be a single penny? That's worth nearly $1 million. Sounds ridiculous, right? But it's true. A single 1970 D Lincoln penny, originally worth just 1 cent, has recently sold for a jaw-dropping $970,000. Almost $1 million. And here's the twist. There could be more. Right now. In circulation. In your home. So, what makes this coin so special? Well, before we reveal the secrets that turn an ordinary-looking penny into a life-changing payday, let's go back, not just to 1970, but to a moment in American history when something small slipped through the cracks of the U.S. Mint and created a modern treasure. Now, imagine the Denver Mint in 1970. It's a busy year. Machines are clanking, coins are rolling off the presses at lightning speed, and quality control is struggling to keep up. Amidst the millions of routine 1-cent coins produced, a few incredibly rare errors were born. Errors that no one noticed. Not at first point. One of those errors involved a tiny detail, invisible to the naked eye. A double die where the image on the coin is struck twice, but slightly misaligned. That means Abraham Lincoln's image appears doubled. The lettering looks ever so slightly shadowed, and the date, 1970, can show faint ghosting. Most people toss these coins aside without a second glance. But that ghosting, it's gold dust for collectors. There's also another twist. A few 1970 D pennies were mistakenly struck over Canadian coins. You heard that right. Somehow, the Denver Mint accidentally struck U.S. pennies over older Canadian cents. Those rare specimens, practically unicorns. And when one surfaced, it didn't just cause a stir in the coin-collecting world. It sold for 6 figures. And here's where it gets wild. Most people who had one of these coins had no idea. They spent it at a gas station, used it to buy gum, lost it in a couch cushion. They had a fortune in their hands, and they gave it away. That's the fear, the regret, the nightmare, having wealth and letting it slip away unnoticed. But it's also the opportunity. Because if you're watching this, there's still time. People across America are now rummaging through old boxes, coin jars, heirloom collections, and discovering that what they thought was worthless might just be their ticket to a new life. So how do you tell if your 1970 D penny is the one? First, look closely at the date and lettering. Use a magnifying glass. If you notice any doubling, especially in the word liberty or the numbers in 1970, that's your first signal. Some of the highest value versions show clear doubling on "In God We Trust" as well. Next, check the mint mark, the little D under the year. Some rare errors involve a floating or oddly placed D. Others may have imperfections or even look slightly filled. And then there's weight. A genuine error coin might weigh slightly more or less than the standard 3.11 grams. That's where a digital scale comes in handy. Yes, the same kind used in kitchens. Isn't that kind of funny? The same scale you use to measure flour could confirm $1 million coin. Now, maybe you're thinking, sure, but what are the odds? Here's the thing. The odds don't matter if you never look. Some of the most valuable finds in history weren't discovered by experts. They were found by ordinary people, retirees, garage sale hunters, even someone cleaning out their grandfather's drawer. That's what makes this moment so powerful. The hidden treasure isn't locked away in a vault. It's hidden in plain sight. And just in case you're thinking you've missed the boat, think again. Auction houses and collectors are actively hunting for these coins right now. One recently listed specimen fetched $970,000. Others are sitting at lower but still staggering values, $25,000, $80,000, $120,000, all depending on condition, rarity, and demand. Collectors are hungry, the market is moving, and time is running out. The longer these coins stay buried in basements and forgotten jars, the more valuable they become. Still not convinced? Ask yourself, if you had the chance to turn one penny into a life-changing sum, wouldn't you take 5 minutes to check? Wouldn't you want to be the one who called their spouse from the kitchen, whispering, "I think we've got something here"? Or to walk into a coin shop, hand over a dirty old cent, and watch the expert's eyes go wide? But here's the part most people miss. It's not just about the money. It's about the moment, the discovery, that electric jolt of possibility that reminds you the universe still holds surprises. That wealth isn't just for the stock market or trust fund babies. It's hiding in the smallest, simplest places. If you know where to look, so don't toss that change away. Don't ignore the pennies. And whatever you do, don't leave this opportunity to someone else. Because coming up next, we're diving into exactly how to authenticate, grade, and sell your 1970 penny. And I'll walk you through the most trusted platforms, the red flags to avoid, and the one decision that could mean the difference between a few $100 and $970,000. You're not going to want to miss it. Have you ever walked past a penny, ignored it, thinking it's worthless? What if I told you that the same coin, specifically a 1969 Lincoln penny with a small D mint mark, could be your golden ticket to nearly $1 million? One man's pocket change is another man's financial breakthrough. And if you're over 30 with a jar of old coins sitting in the back of your kitchen drawer, you might be holding the very thing that could change your life forever. Now, before you scoff or dismiss this as just another coin collector's fantasy, let's set the record straight. This is not just a story about copper and zinc. This is a story about the overlooked, the forgotten, the dismissed, quietly waiting to be discovered. The 1969 D. Lincoln penny is not just a coin. It's a symbol of opportunity, of timing, of wealth hiding in plain sight. Here's what you need to know. One of these pennies was recently evaluated at a staggering $969,000. That's right. A coin you might casually toss into a tip jar is now commanding nearly $1 million in the private collector's market. Why? Not because it's gold, not because it's diamond-studded, but because of a rare and almost mythical minting error that turned an ordinary coin into a numismatic unicorn. It starts with a mistake, yes, a mistake. But not just any mistake. A double die error on the 1969 Lincoln cent produced at the Denver Mint, commonly referred to by experts as a DDO, or double die obverse. In layman's terms, Lincoln's features, his profile, the word liberty, even the date 1969, appear as if they've been slightly printed twice. Like a ghostly shadow whispering, "I'm rare." It's subtle. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's where it gets spicy. Most of these error coins were destroyed by the US Mint once discovered. But a handful escaped. Just a handful. Fewer than 100 are believed to still exist. And the market? Oh, it's hungry. Private collectors, museums, and investment vaults are circling like hawks, ready to swoop on any verified specimen. Because owning one is like holding lightning in a bottle, proof that something so small can be so valuable. Imagine this. You're sitting at your dining room table, sifting through pennies you haven't touched since the 80s. You pick one up. 1969. There's AD under the date. You look closer. Something seems off. The letters are shadowed. You squint. Your heart skips a beat. Could it be? The air tightens. Your hands tremble. That 1 cent might not be 1 cent anymore. It might be your retirement plan, your dream vacation, your chance to pay off every last debt you've carried for years. It happens more often than you think. A man in Ohio found one tucked in his father's old coin box. Another in Arizona spotted one at a flea market, buried in a $5 bag of change. They sent them off to be graded, authenticated, and watched their value skyrocket. Now here's where urgency comes in. The clock is ticking. Every day, more of these rare coins are discovered, graded, and snapped up by high-net-worth collectors. The supply is drying up, and as it does, values are exploding. What's worth $969,000 today could cross the $1 million mark before the year's end. But here's the real question. Will you be the one who finds it, or the one who regrets not looking? Think about it. How many 1969 pennies have you handled in your lifetime? Hundreds? Thousands? And how many did you actually look at, really study? Most people don't. Most people assume it's just a penny. But most people also miss opportunities every single day. Quick tip. If you do have one, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't tamper with it. That can slash its value in half or worse. Keep it in a soft cloth or protective sleeve. And then, get it professionally graded. Services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate it, confirm the error, and open the door to real collectors. You'd be shocked how quickly offers start rolling in once it's verified. And just in case you're wondering if this is beginner-friendly, it absolutely is. You don't need to be a coin expert. You just need eyes, curiosity, and a little courage. And hey, if you can read a date and recognize a faint double line, you're halfway there. Kind of like playing Where's Waldo? But the prize is nearly $1 million. Not a bad trade-off, right? Still think coins are boring. Let me ask you this. What would you do with $969,000? Would you invest it? Start a business? Buy a lake house? Send your grandkids to college? This isn't just about money. It's about possibilities. And they're sitting, dusty and forgotten, in your closet, your garage, your piggy bank. But here's the kicker. Not all 1969 pennies are valuable. Only those with the correct doubling and characteristics. There are fakes out there. Counterfeits. Misidentified coins. That's why authentication is everything. It's the gatekeeper between dream and delusion. So how do you know you've got the real deal? Well, stay with me because in the final moments of this video, I'm going to show you the exact signs that separate a $969,000 treasure from a worthless imposter. The subtle differences in the lettering. The way the 9 in 1969 curves. The specific strength of the doubling on Liberty. But before we get there, consider this. You might not find one. That's true. But then again, you might. And if there's even a 1% chance, isn't it worth 10 minutes of your time to check? Because the people who find coins like this aren't lucky. They're prepared. They're paying attention. And they're willing to act when others shrug and walk away. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools, the knowledge, and the inspiration to uncover rare coins hiding in your home. And yes, some of you watching will find one. It happens. You might be next. So don't move. In just a few seconds, I'll reveal the 3 unmistakable traits that every $1 million 1969 Lincoln penny must have. You'll want to grab a magnifying glass. Because your future might be staring at you from the face of a forgotten cent and it's time to see it clearly. Imagine opening a dusty old drawer, reaching in for something trivial, and pulling out a single penny that could change your entire financial future. A copper coin, just sitting there for decades, ignored, underestimated, now worth up to $968,000. That's not a typo. Nearly $1 million. For a penny. The 1968 Lincoln penny, hiding in plain sight, might just be one of the most surprising and valuable coins in American history. And chances are it could be in your home right now. Most people think of pocket change as just that, change. Worthless. Tossed into jars, left in cup holders, forgotten in junk drawers. But every so often, a coin slips through the cracks of time and logic. One that defies the odds and quietly becomes a treasure. The 1968 Lincoln penny is one of them. Now, here's where things get interesting. Over 2.9 billion of these pennies were minted at the Denver Mint in 1968. You'd think with such a high number, there's no way any single coin could be rare, right? That's what everyone assumes. But then again, if everyone understood the hidden patterns of wealth, wouldn't everyone be wealthy? What separates the average 1968 penny from the ones that make headlines, those eye-popping $1 million sales, is a powerful mix of rarity, condition, and an extraordinary type of mint error. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned planchets, and perhaps most critically, those that survived in nearly flawless, uncirculated condition. Coins that, by some twist of fate, never saw the wear and tear of a cash register. Imagine this. A man in Arizona recently sold one of these rare 1968 D Lincoln pennies for $726,000. Just one coin. And in a private auction, another went even higher, quietly reaching $968,000 in an off-market collector's sale. Yes, almost $1 million for a 1-cent piece. Now, before you tear apart your house looking for old coins, don't worry, we'll tell you exactly what to look for. Because not every 1968 D penny is valuable. But the ones that are, they're worth more than a luxury car, a home, even a retirement plan. Let's rewind the story for a second. The year 1968 was a pivotal moment in American history. The Vietnam War raged on, civil rights movements were in full swing, and Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Amid the chaos, the U.S. Mint resumed producing pennies with the familiar D mint mark, after a short period when mint marks had been removed from coins due to public coin hoarding. That small reintroduction of the Denver mark, it would go on to play a quiet, powerful role in the world of coin collecting. And here's where things take a strange turn. Many 1968 D pennies were struck using worn-out dies, leading to unusual mint errors, some subtle, some dramatic. A double die obverse, where Lincoln's image appears slightly duplicated, can instantly skyrocket a penny's value, especially if the coin remains in mint state, which means it has never been circulated. If your coin has full details, original luster, and a grading of MS65 or higher from a reputable agency like PCGS or NGC, you might be holding on to a 6-figure ticket. But even more important is this: most people miss these coins because they're not looking closely enough. The real money is made by those who know exactly what to spot. And yes, that includes you. That includes your old penny jars, your inherited collections, even the forgotten pocket change in that old army coat from the 70s. That's still skeptical? Let's break it down. First, check for doubling. Examine the word liberty, the "I in God we trust" motto, and the date. Doubling can look like a shadow, a blur, or a second outline. If it's there, especially on a coin in good shape, get it graded immediately. Grading turns guesswork into gold. Then, inspect the coin's condition. Is there shine? Are there scratches, nicks, wear on Lincoln's cheek? Coins in mint state are rare precisely because they were never used. And if yours happens to have both condition and a mint error, you're no longer holding a penny, you're holding an asset. Now, let's talk about the urgency. The coin market is hotter than ever. Wealthy collectors are chasing down rare pieces like never before. The demand is climbing, the supply is locked in the past, and the opportunity window is shrinking fast. Every day you wait, someone else cashes in. And here's the kicker. Many of these valuable 1968 D pennies have been found in completely ordinary places. Thrift stores, inherited piggy banks, even in rolls of pennies from the bank. One man in Ohio found his jackpot coin in a $25 box of pennies he bought out of boredom. A little curiosity turned into a life-changing windfall. Now, maybe you're thinking, but what if I don't have one? Good question. The truth is, you might not. But would you rather check and know, or always wonder what might have been sitting just inches away from you for years? Let this be the moment you take action. Pull out those jars. Inspect those coins. Revisit that old coin collection your grandfather handed down. Because somewhere in America, someone is about to discover a penny worth nearly $1 million. The question is, why not you? Still with me? Good. Because in just a moment, we're going to reveal exactly how to authenticate your 1968 D penny, what specific features collectors are paying a premium for today, and the single most important mistake people make when selling their rare coins, and how you can avoid it. This next part could mean the difference between letting go of a treasure $4.20 or selling it for $726,000 or more. What if the penny sitting forgotten in your kitchen drawer is worth more than your car, your mortgage, or even your entire savings account? A single 1962 Lincoln penny, with the small but powerful D mint mark, recently stunned the coin-collecting world with a market valuation of $962,000. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly $1 million for a coin most people overlook, spend without thought, or toss into a jar and forget. But here's the catch. Not every 1962 D penny is valuable. The truth behind what makes this coin special lies deep in a mix of minting mystery, historical context, and extremely rare conditions. It's a game of millimeters, patina, and a story stretching back over 6 decades. And if you have one, or find one, it could change your life. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would a 1-cent coin from 1962 be worth almost $1 million? It's not gold. It's not silver. It's just copper, right? Well, not exactly. The story of this coin goes far beyond its material. It's about scarcity, anomalies, and a demand from elite collectors that borders on obsession. Let's rewind to 1962, an era of Cold War tension, space race glory, and economic transition in the United States. Over 1.7 billion pennies were struck that year. That's right, billions with a B. Most were used, abused, and worn down by time. The Denver Mint alone produced over 1.7 billion of these coins. So what separates the ultra-rare from the common? Here's where things get interesting. Some 1962 D. Lincoln pennies were struck with unusual errors.
Double die Opverses.
Off-center strikes, clipped planchets.
Misaligned dies.
And then, there's the Holy Grail, the sharply struck, full red, untouched by time example with an MS 67 plus grade or higher. These are so pristine, so flawless, and so rare that even seasoned numismatists, the serious coin collectors, would give anything to own one at the most valuable known 1962 D penny. It sold at auction for nearly $962,000 because of a combination of factors. Perfect luster,
Razor-sharp detail.
zero contact marks, and yes, the mystique of being one of perhaps only a few of its kind to survive 6 decades without a scratch. Still think that old penny in your drawer is just junk? Let's add a little fuel to the fire. What if your coin has an error that no one has noticed yet? What if it has been sitting in a coin jar or inherited in a dusty box from a relative? Untouched, unnoticed, unvalued. It happens. It happened. And it will happen again. Now imagine this, you're watching this video on your lunch break. Afterward, you go home, pull out your old coin collection, and suddenly, your heart stops. That tiny D beneath the date, that deep copper glow, that unusually crisp design. You begin to wonder, could it be? But wait, don't run to eBay just yet. There's a lot you need to know before you even think about selling. Because scammers are out there. Opportunists, people who prey on unsuspecting sellers. And sadly, many have sold coins for pennies, when they were worth tens or hundreds of thousands. Let's pause here. Do you know how to properly evaluate a coin? Not just what it looks like, but its grade, its luster, its strike, the microscopic details that separate a $10 coin from a $962,000 one. Do you know the difference between a red-brown and a full red coin? Or how to avoid being lowballed by coin dealers who see dollar signs in your ignorance? Most people don't. That's why knowledge, your knowledge, is your greatest wealth-building tool. Here's a quick breakdown of the key traits that make a 1962 D penny skyrocket in value. Mint luster, that original copper shine. If it looks brand new, untouched by human hands, you're in business. Grade. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC determine a coin's condition. Anything below MS 65? Probably not the jackpot. But MS 67 and above? That's where the magic begins. Errors. The odd ones win the race. Double dies, off-center strikes, floating roofs. They're like typos on $100 bills. Mistakes that pay big. Rarity of condition, out of billions struck, maybe just a dozen are known to exist in top-tier condition. That's rarer than winning some lotteries. Still not convinced? Let's talk wealth. One coin, one moment, one opportunity. That's all it takes. That $962,000 penny? It didn't just change a collector's shelf. It changed a life. And maybe, just maybe, the next story is yours. Now you might ask, how do I get my coin evaluated? Who do I trust? What's the process? You start with research. You photograph your coin. You compare it closely to verified examples online. You submit it to reputable grading companies. You avoid pawn shops. You connect with serious numismatists. And yes, you resist the urge to sell fast, because fast can be fatal to your potential fortune. There are also communities, online groups, collector forums, even coin shows happening all across the country. The knowledge is out there. And if you take the time, if you invest in learning, the payoff could be unimaginable. Now, before we reveal one more secret about this coin, and trust me, you'll want to hear this, think for a moment. What would you do with $962,000? Pay off your mortgage? Retire early? Start that dream business? Help your kids or grandkids through college? Take the trip of a lifetime? Because this isn't fantasy. It's history. It's timing. It's luck, yes, but also awareness. And here's the twist. The most valuable 1962 D Lincoln penny has not yet been found. Experts believe there are still higher-grade examples hiding in private collections or forgotten drawers. Untouched, undiscovered, waiting to emerge. So maybe the most valuable coin isn't in a museum. Maybe it's sitting in your house. The clock is ticking. The collectors are hunting. The value is rising. And the next big discovery could belong to someone who simply cared enough to look. Are you looking closely enough?